Welcome, everybody, to Postgame Takeaways presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm Tyler James. He's the one and only Eric Hansen, and we're here to share our postgame takeaways from a Notre Dame victory for the first time in the 2025 season. But first, let me take care of some business. Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana and a new store coming soon to Mishawaka, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors. Eric, Notre Dame emerged from a weather-delayed shootout in Notre Dame Stadium with a 56-30 victory over Purdue. What was your biggest takeaway from the performance?
Biggest takeaway is that the offense continues to make steps forward to the point where I feel like when they get into some shootout games, and I think that's coming in the very next game at Arkansas, that they will be able to win these games, even if the defense is slow in its evolution. I think their offense is good enough. From the flip side of that, it was a weird game. Purdue had 286 yards in the first half, which is about 120 more than they had for their whole game last year against Notre Dame. And then only 98 in the second half. So there was some improvement. And yet Marcus Freeman in the press conference was very emotional about the defense and some of the things that he feels like he needs to see without throwing anybody under the bus. But you could definitely feel the frustration of trying to couple the right coverages with the right pass rush. If you're going to rush 5 versus rush 4, what you need with your coverages. And there seemed to be some frustration with that. How about you? What were your 2 big takeaways? Or more than that? You not limited to 2.
Yeah, I think the defense stuff is the most interesting to me, just because it is not obvious in terms of where it's heading, or obvious in terms of how bad it truly is. I think for today felt like the first time where it was like, okay, I feel like Marcus Freeman's starting to get sick of this. Like he was just like, we can't figure it out. We're changing our coverage from one play to the next. And he was talking about specifically the Purdue touchdown drive that came in the final minute of the first half, which was right after they come back from halftime. The weather delay.
And he was
And
interviewed during the weather delay.
yeah, and he was interviewed during the weather delay about the fact that they needed to do a better job defensively. He seemed pretty frustrated in that interview on NBC. But then, like, I wonder, like, today's first half secondary, like, you got a lot of new pieces in there. You're starting Dallas Golden and Mark Zachary as freshman corners, or a corner and a nickelback. You got Tay Johnson making his first start. Adon Schuler's out with because of the targeting penalty. So that's not exactly Notre Dame's best secondary. Leonard Moore sidelined with an injury. So it probably shouldn't be too surprising that Purdue was able to put things together in the way it did. And certainly the defense is fortunate that the offense was pretty much lights out the entire game, that it didn't really matter how much the defense was struggling in that first half. I'm curious about where things go moving forward with this defense, and particularly in the secondary, in terms of where are they going to line up these guys when everyone's healthy? Like, are Dallas Golden and Mark Zachary long-term solutions now for Notre Dame? Tay Johnson seems to be. I think I would be surprised if he doesn't stay in the starting lineup. And Jalen Stroman,
He played all but 1 snap, so he didn't come out when Schuler came in.
Right. So it seems to be trending that way, with some youth at safety. We'll see what happens moving forward when Leonard Moore and Devontae Smith are healthy at cornerback and nickelback. What do you think?
My take on that is, I think they're finding some guys that can help them even when Leonard Moore and Devontae Smith come back, they're going to say, we can trust these guys in certain situations. We don't have to play Devontae Smith, 65 snaps. That's what Dallas Golden ended up playing tonight. I mean, they didn't say Carson Hobbs was injured. He didn't show up on the injury report, and he didn't play a single snap tonight. So to me, that's a demotion. And then, it's going to be interesting because I think Gray plays better in the boundary than he does out into the field. So will they flip-flop Leonard Moore and Christian Gray? Will they rotate Gray and Mark Zachary? I think the platoon at nickel would be Devontae Smith and Dallas Golden. But, I mean, Marcus Freeman had a really cool answer about Dallas Golden and how he thought he played and whether he was trusting him. And, the interception, Dallas even mentioned that, he had seen that play earlier in the game and kind of implied that he didn't defend it well. And then Mike Mickens, the DB's coach, and he were talking on the sideline, and he's like, look out for that. And when you look at that interception, you go, whoa, he was in the right position, but not a lot of guys are that athletic that they could make that interception. Right. They may break up the pass, but they don't make the interception. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and I think that athleticism from Dallas Golden is part of the reason why myself, and I don't think I was alone in this opinion, that we thought that there was a potential for him to play because he is so athletic, that skill set would translate sooner rather than later in college. It was just a matter of Notre Dame figuring out where it may need him and where he best fits in the secondary. But yeah, that athleticism is special from Dallas Golden. He took his lumps at some times today too, but he definitely flashed some of that potential that he has. And it'll be, what you mentioned on the Christian Gray part is like, I'm curious about that too. Does Notre Dame need to stick him into the boundary more frequently? Do we get to a situation where when Leonard Moore is healthy, does Leonard Moore just need to follow whoever the best receiver is, regardless of what that position is? Maybe you don't put him at nickel if the best receiver is a slot, but if someone plays to the boundary more or plays to the field more and is clearly the top receiver, maybe we're getting to a situation that Notre Dame needs Leonard Moore to sort of tail that guy and let Christian Gray draw the maybe easier assignment.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. One thing I'll say also about Dallas Golden that Marcus Freeman was really complimentary. Sometimes when a guy comes in and has that much hype about him, he's got a big head too. And he said, he's trained at field, and we're talking about Dallas Golden. He's trained at the field, at the boundary, never played, nickel in high school. Really just in earnest this week started training at nickel. And, he's just, when he got up at the podium and he was talking, just a very humble and confident, but humble and just coachable guy. And I think that's what Marcus also likes in him, is that he's like, use me wherever you need to. I'm sure if he said, go play wide receiver or go return punts, he could do that too and do it at a pretty high level.
What'd you think of Notre Dame's pass rush?
I thought it was better. I mean, they had 2 sacks. It was funny. They originally credited one of the sacks to Boubacar Traore, then took it away because Purdue ended up advancing the ball on the play. He stripped the ball from the quarterback.
Right.
And then they ended up gaining 5 or 10 yards on the play because the ball rolled forward. And I think they took the sack away because it was a positive yardage play. I don't know. I mean, they did well against the run, the defensive line, and I think the front 7 in particular. And yet Purdue didn't come in as a team that was really a big threat to run the ball. But I thought it was better than it has been, but that's not setting a very high bar. I mean, I still could see why Marcus Freeman was frustrated with it, because it wasn't consistent in terms of getting home, especially. And I think you talked about this maybe on Football Never Sleeps, Tyler. You talked about a lot of times when you bring that extra rusher, you're trying to create a free rusher. You're trying to confuse the front so that they miss a block and there's somebody that has a free run at the quarterback. We haven't seen any of that really, or maybe one this year. And we've seen it happen to Notre Dame's offense before, including today.
I think the sack that Heinisch and Rubio shared, I think there was a stunt there that Heinisch sort of came free because Rubio drew the attention, and then they both combined on the quarterback. If it wasn't on that sack, they at least did that once together. I don't know if it was the sack that they had, but yeah, those instances seem not frequent enough for Notre Dame. And we'll see what Notre Dame can continue to do to try to drum up that pressure. Junior Tuihalamaka had a couple of quarterback hurries. Traore ended up just getting I don't know if the hurry was for that. I don't know if you get a hurry on a former sack that turns into a 5-yard gain from a fumble. I don't really know what how that statistically worked out. But yes, I thought they were better, probably still not good enough, especially considering how frequently Purdue was passing and in a lot of obvious passing situations too. But again, it comes down to what Marcus Freeman was talking about, the marriage between your secondary and
we can make up verbs this late at night, marriaging.
The marriage between the secondary and the pass rush to make sure, hey, if we're sending 5 guys, we gotta be prepared to cover and them to throw it quick. And we got to get home with that pass rush if we do that. And if we're only sending 4, we got to know that there's a chance that they're going to have more time to throw, and we're going to have to be ready to cover longer. So we'll see how Notre Dame continues to try to find the right balance there. Certainly seems to not be working out in the best ways so far. But let's talk a little bit more about the offense.
Well, let me make one more point about the defense. There were a couple of guys that showed up on the defense tonight that we hadn't seen a lot of, and I'm looking at the early Pro Football Focus grades. But Elijah Hughes played 25 snaps. He was Notre Dame's number 2 defender. Now, again, these will vary when they get a better look at the game. And Cole Mullins played 14 snaps and was number 3. I thought those are 2 interesting guys. I mean, Hughes played more than Jason Onye tonight.
Yeah, and it seemed like Jared Dawson was he listed for any snaps?
He was not listed for a single snap, and he was not listed on the injury list.
Yeah, so it's sort of interesting. Like Jalen Stroman and Jared Dawson, I think both played decently in the Miami game, if not even better than decent. And then I think they took step backs against Texas A&M, and now it's uncertain of how much playing time moving forward they will be in the mix for. I'm curious. I think Elijah Hughes was someone during camp where like I just don't know if it's gonna happen this season with him in terms of being a regular contributor. That was the case tonight. I don't know that I felt him making a significant impact. It seemed like Cole Mullins' activity was more towards that late third quarter, fourth quarter when some of the backup guys were working in. But the
fact that he did well, it was good.
Yeah, I think anyone that can get an opportunity, if you get an opportunity on the defensive line and you do something, I think Notre Dame's going to be open to trying to find a way to get you on the field. So those were some new faces up front. All right, so let's talk more about the offense. I know that was, I think, your first takeaway. What was most impressive to you about the offense tonight?
Boy, there was a lot. The guys that I gave game balls to were C.J. Carr, Jeremiah Love, and Jadarian Price, and you could have added a bunch of other people to that list. But C.J. Carr, I mean, that 66, I think it was, yard pass to Malachi Fields on Notre Dame's first play from scrimmage. Mm-hmm. He was 10 of 12 for over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had a 294.1, I believe, pass efficiency rating, which is astronomical. And then Jeremiah Love had his career high in rushing yards, 157. He had 19 carries, and he looked really good. Um, and then Jadarian Price is probably one of the best sidekick running backs in the country. He had 11 touches today, 2 kickoff returns, and 9 rushes, and had 4 touchdowns. And he was electric on that 100-yard return. But a guy that I didn't give a game ball to, here's another example, is Jordan Faison. I think he's really becoming what they need at that field receiver. How about you? What impressed you on the offense? I thought the line played better too.
Yeah, I think the line played better, and I think Purdue didn't necessarily have the personnel to play with Notre Dame's offense. I felt like that was clear, and Notre Dame got that sense early and often, and it probably was a good thing that Notre Dame's offense felt that early and often the way the defense started in that first half. But the Faison point I think is important. Like and it's not just in the passing game, right? I think he is a tireless worker in terms of blocking for Notre Dame that can extend those plays, give those running backs extra opportunities to pick up yards and break longer runs. And that is going to be important in the long run for Notre Dame. And he's showing that he's a valuable pass catcher as well at a team high 5 catches past the 100-yard mark. Had I think it was 48-yard touchdown pass from CJ Carr that Carr gave him a check right before the play to give him a double move and hit him with a deep ball. So
yeah,
that was
gave
important.
Away to the media what the sign was.
Well, I don't know if Carr knew at that point, but they had a close up of it on the NBC broadcast, so I think people would be able to pick up on it, whether or not Jordan Faison mentioned it or confirmed it in the post game. But yeah, I thought it was almost a flawless performance for Notre Dame's offense. They scored 7 touchdowns on 8 real drives. The strip sack of Carr that Anthony Knapp just did a poor job at pass protection was really the only major mistake for the offense. Otherwise, they're scoring touchdowns sort of at will. They took a knee on one drive otherwise, but hard to ask for a lot more than what you got out of the starting offense from Notre Dame today.
Yeah, I was curious who individually did well with the offensive line because, we're not watching it super close. We see the mistakes. We don't see the great plays usually. And Gerby Lambert had a pretty good preliminary grade. Ashton Craig had the best of the linemen, but Gerby Lambert had a pretty decent grade, which is good to see him. Emil Wagner was back toward where we're used to seeing him. So, but Anthony Knapp was even a little bit more improved, but not in his pass blocking. He didn't get a good grade. But yeah, there were a lot of very highly ranked offensive players. And Kenny Minchie came in and I thought did a nice job for his first action of the season.
Yeah.
And we didn't see Wildcat. I was happy.
No Wildcat. Minchie, he did a good job. They ran into some 4th down situations where they either settled for a field goal or went for it when Marcus Freeman maybe had some second thoughts about should have punted. But I think the offense, the late offense, and Gerby Lambert stayed in at right tackle when the second team came out. So I'm curious how much those reps impacted his positive grade. Maybe that helped him out a little bit too. But anytime you could get a young guy like him to get more confidence and experience out there, whether it's playing his starting position or even in those late moments, I think those are good opportunities for Notre Dame. And the offense may need to have another high-scoring performance down at Arkansas, an Arkansas team that has given up plenty of points against its 2 best opponents so far this season, and an Arkansas team that has a very explosive offense itself.
Yeah.
So looking forward to a potential good game down in Arkansas. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here, Eric?
I don't think so. I had something in my head and it disappeared. Well, I mean, the lightning delay was very interesting. An hour and 54 minutes. It's the 5th lightning delay in the history of Notre Dame football, which makes you think, what did they do before 2011? I guess they just rubbed dirt on it when there was lightning. And Notre Dame is 3-2 in lightning delayed games, and there were 59 lightning strikes within 10 miles, which is the radius that they measure when they delay games. So that was an interesting part of today, but Notre Dame responded well after the lightning delay.
Well, I hope I've covered my last lightning delayed Notre Dame football game. That would be nice, but not a fun time for us because we're not exactly just sitting back relaxing during those moments either. But that'll be it for us.
Green beans.
We did have green beans. Eric raved about the green beans. We're gonna have to get the recipe from Notre Dame for the lightning delay green beans. But that'll be it for us for post game takeaways. Look out for a Sunday roundtable over on Blue and Gold Illustrated's YouTube channel, and we'll be back Monday night with Football Never Sleeps. Everybody have a great Sunday.